and it dropped in just in a second. And I saw it move. It didn't disappear and reappear. It went and like made like a streak.
The following is my conversation with Louis Herthum. Louis is an American actor and producer based out in Santa Monica. He's a multifaceted artist in the world of television and film. His career is a testament to his creativity and versatility as an actor, producer, and storyteller. Louis is also fascinated by the UFO UAP subject and is well read and researched on that subject. In this conversation, we will dive into UFOs and also discuss Louis's own experience in 1978 and his sightings more recently. A really fascinating guy and such a pleasure to talk to. So, the following is my conversation with Louis Herthum.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, Louis. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, mate?
Very, very good. Good. Thanks for joining me.
From UK, eh?
All the way over from the UK.
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm in Lincolnshire,
Lincolnshire.
which is kind of Midlands, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Middle of nowhere.
Spent the summer of 21 in London. I had a great
really?
time. Yeah, we shot The Peripheral there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, hey man, thanks. I'm happy to talk about this subject. It's one I'm very interested in.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, look, I saw your internet presence. I follow you on Instagram, and I saw that you had a kind of an interest in the subject, and so I thought I'd throw you a message to see if you'd be up for talking. So I really appreciate you joining me. Let's jump in, if that's okay. Let's jump straight in. What first piqued your interest in the subject?
Interesting question. I think the first thing that I actually remember was reading Eric von Daniken's book Chariot of the Gods. But there was something that inspired me to get that book and read it. And I can't quite tell you, other than the fact that I was always a very curious kid. That book came out in around 73, I believe, 72, 73. I didn't read it until 78. So I just think that I always felt that it made a lot of sense that these things that people were seeing were not of this world or of a technology that they were keeping secret from us. And either way was bad. Okay. My dad was a World War II pilot. He flew the hump, the China, Burma, India missions. And I asked him about it. He said he never saw UFOs, but he saw things on radar at times where he would run radar that were going astronomical speeds, that nothing we had could do it. So maybe that was one of the things that piqued my interest. But after reading the book, I really got interested. But oddly enough, I read it in 1978 and mostly on a trip across, because I grew up in Louisiana, and my mother, my sister, and I drove out to on a vacation the summer of 78 in August, I believe it was, across the country. And I was reading the book on the trip. So when I wasn't driving, I was reading. We stopped. I worked for Sheraton Hotels at the time in Baton Rouge, and we stopped at a Sheraton in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I smoked cigarettes at the time. It was horrible, but I did. And we got to Albuquerque about midnight, and I was on the balcony smoking a cigarette. Now, the airport in Albuquerque, the civilian airport, shares runways with a military base. And I can't remember the name of it, but it's easy to look up. And I was just smoking a cigarette, and there were these planes coming in. And I know what a plane looks like, and they have a spotlight on the front and has this, the flares that come off that light. It's not just a circular light. And several came in, and then, I was getting down to almost finish the cigarette, and I see a light out there, and it looks different. It's big, way bigger than anything in the sky. There was no moon that night. I could see the silhouette of the mountains in the distance, but there was no real bright moon or anything. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And I remember taking my cigarette, and I was like holding it under the light and to the side. And I'm like, that thing is stationary. What the hell is it? and then it goes, and it just like this. I mean, as far as the sky is concerned, if you put your hands this far, on the horizon, it dropped in just in a second. And I saw it move. It didn't disappear and reappear. It went and like made like a streak and dead stop. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like holding my cigarette again. I'm like, that thing is still stationary. Now, this was the way I describe it, and I've seen many, this was 1978. Now, I've seen many videos since then that's exactly what I saw. And it was like a very distinct circular light, bright light, almost like if you took a piece of black construction paper, took a hole punch, punched a hole in it, and then held it up to a lit background. So it's very crisp light. And then it stayed there for, this all happened maybe in 15 seconds and stayed there for a little bit. And then from your view, which would have been my POV, it dropped down like that. It stayed there for a few seconds and then it went, and it darted behind the silhouette of the mountains and disappeared. And I just waited to hope, to see it again. So again, being the son of a pilot, I knew that this was, whatever that was, it was not anything that we are aware of. Okay. So, and I went in, I told my mother and my sister what I'd just seen. And I think I remember my sister saying, that book's starting to get to your head or something like this. But no, it's true. I mean, I saw that, and there's no question that I saw it. And so after that, I really became interested. And then too, when you look at the size of our universe, anybody that thinks that we are the top of the food chain, these creatures on Earth that love to kill each other, and we spend most money on anything, on ways to destroy things and people, which I find revolting. But it's like, if we're the top of the food chain, we're in deep shit. Excuse me, deep trouble. Sorry for my language. Okay. So, and then, when you think that our own galaxy, just our own galaxy, is 100,000 light years across, and those people that I'm sure anybody listening knows what a light year is, but the speed that light travels at 186,000 miles per second in a year, and it's 100,000 of those. And then if you remember the Hubble the Hubble telescope, at some point after they got it working properly, they pointed to a dark area in the sky that they couldn't see any further before the Hubble, and then pointed the Hubble at it. And there are 2,000 galaxies like ours. And then with the James Webb telescope comes in, and that recent picture they came up with, where thousands of more galaxies. And, it's just astronomical, the number of stars that could support life, planets in the Goldilocks zone. In fact, I think I noticed that what is it called? Encounters, this new Netflix. Yeah. I'm like on episode 3 right now. And I think you posted about it too. So, to me, it just makes a lot of sense. I wish they would come and land and say, hey, let's talk. The only thing that I'm concerned about now is some factions out there that I believe will want to tell us that that we should be concerned or afraid of them. I don't believe that for a second. They've been around for thousands of years, and if they wanted us gone, we'd have been smoldering cinders long ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What do you sort of touched on a possible sort of conclusion or hypothesis, I suppose, but what do you think they are? What do you think they represent?
Well, I mean, without question, I think that we've been visited by, let's face it, we're explorers, right? With our limited physics as we know it, people say, yeah, but you can't travel faster than the speed of light. Well, we can't. Doesn't mean a civilization that's millions of years older than us can. And there's very little doubt in my mind that there's interdimensional type travel or whatever. So what it is, and if you want to go back to, in fact, there's a book right here, The Day After Roswell by Philip Corso. Wonderful book that tells the truth about what happened at Roswell. You know, there's very little doubt in my mind that we've been visited by other civilizations. I mean, it just makes more sense than not. Do I believe some of the things that people are seeing out there are not from another world, but from this world? Yes, I do. I feel sure that we've back engineered, you know, even Bob Lazar was working on back engineering. I'm sure we've succeeded at that. I forget the name, TR3X or whatever, the triangular shaped black thing. Most people, and I don't know, I have no idea about that, but a lot of people say those are actually man-made. Hey, look, it's technology. If you look at the technology in the last 100 years, you know, from cars to even airplanes, telephones, camera equipment, you know, the fact that this thing holds more data or capability than what got us to the moon. But not in propulsion. We've made very little. We still have jet engines. You know, I just find that a little odd, because you would think that that would be one of the things that we would concentrate on the most. I mean, that's just my thinking about that. I don't know. So what do I think it is? I think it's a mixture of both at this point. And I just would caution people, if they tell you that, you know, that we're being invaded by aliens, don't buy it.
Yeah, there's a lot of looking through the comments on my Instagram account. There's just so many. I'd say every sort of third or fourth from the popular videos where people, Project Bluebeam, this is the government, there's going to be a fake invasion with lasers. I think, well, there's a lot. I mean, it's, you know, it's certainly it's certainly on a lot of people's minds, and you know, there's a real lack of trust in the government. So those two things together with an unknown, you know, it's understandable.
I've read a little bit about Project Bluebeam. I absolutely know what it is, and I've been hearing about it for a long time. I mean, and I'm sure you've heard Carol Rosin, I believe was her name, a woman that worked with Wernher von Braun, who he told her that, you know, after these different, you know, the different things that the government would spend money on, you know, and eventually it would be alien invasion, and it would be false. It would be a false flag type thing. Well, but, you know, I have a question anytime people, because I guess you would, you know, conspiracy theorist, or a conspiracy theory was a term created by the CIA after the Kennedy assassination to debunk people who thought that that was a fishy situation, which I do. I've studied the Kennedy assassination for 30 plus years, and am quite knowledgeable about that whole event. And what I would ask anyone is, how many times do you have to be lied to by an entity, someone or whatever, before you start questioning what the liar is telling you? And so we get lied to a lot, a whole lot. In the UK, you do. Here we do. Most places we do. And, you know, there are many examples of it, and people just sort of brush it off. So this is a perfect example. For 70 plus years, we've been told, oh, you're crazy if you think you saw a UFO. Oh, there's no UFOs. That's a swamp gas, or that's a whatever that, you know. So, yeah, that's something that I always do, because in my personal life, if someone lies to me, you know, and I know they're lying, I find out they're lying, then my relationship with them is usually cut short. I don't like liars. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Do you think that things are changing in terms of openness? I mean, people are talking about it a lot. It feels like people, perhaps because I'm in that kind of circle, more so than others, but it does feel like more people are talking about the subjects in the media and press more, and it's more of a talking point amongst friends and things now. Is it the same with yourself in your circle?
Not really. Like in my personal, like my friends consider me a conspiracy theorist because, you know, I'll talk about the JFK assassination a lot, because I am very, very knowledgeable about that. I've read a lot of books. Most of these books here are about that. and UFOs. But I do think it's changing for the simple reason that there's just so many sightings now because everybody's got a camera in their pocket.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you can't deny it. And now there's so many people that can look at a video and tell whether it's been doctored or not. So our technology in that regard has advanced enormously. And we all have the opportunity. I have taken videos of something that flies over Santa Monica where I live. I have 3 videos of this thing. It actually looks kind of like the Tic Tac. It's kind of shaped that way. It might be a drone, but first of all, drones are illegal to fly over Santa Monica. Doesn't mean people wouldn't do it. But this thing, I've seen it several times, and I have a pretty good piece of video of it. It makes no noise, and it travels, very steadily, not super fast, but it makes absolutely no noise. And it doesn't seem to have any wings or propellers on it. It seems kind of like a Tic Tac. It's shaped that way, and it's white. And I've tried to find out what it is. I put it on my Facebook page, and some guy who knows people that are involved in aviation here in this area said, "Do you have a timestamp on those?" And I said, "I do." So I gave him exactly the coordinates or exactly the time and told him where it was using street names and so forth. And he came back and he said, "Oh, that was a little Cessna that was going over." And he showed me the trajectory. And I said, "That's definitely not a Cessna." Like I said, my dad was a pilot. I flew with him. That was not a plane. And that where you show this thing is not where it was at all. So I think people try to debunk what they don't know or don't believe, and people need to have an open mind, especially these days. My God! In fact, I tend to also want to live in a universe, much less a world, where you can believe that these things are possible. Because why should I dwell in the fact that, oh yeah, we're here in this tiny little place and we love doing wars and we love the politicians lying to us and all that kind of stuff that goes on, and then we die, and then we work our butts off all our lives, and then we retire, and shortly after that we die and just poof. I don't like that. I like something a little more. Maybe that's the actor in me, maybe that's the dreamer, but makes a lot more sense. It's easier to live in that world, in my opinion.
Can I just quickly come back to your sighting when you were younger? Did you have any? Was there a feeling? Was there an experience?
Boy, I wish I could say there was. It was so quick. Like I said, maybe 15 seconds total. In fact, I wondered. Yeah, I wished my mother and sister could have witnessed, but I didn't dare take my eye off of that thing. So no, there was no sense of it seeing me and being aware that I was watching it or anything, like I know that people do have. However, I've seen this white thing that I'm telling you about. I've seen it at the beach, but I'll see it for just I'll see it and then it's gone. It's like it appears and I see for a section and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking is that I saw it because it was at the perfect angle where the light was reflecting off of it. And then once it moved from that area. But a buddy of mine who's very much into this, he and his wife have gone up to Northern California and there's a place where you can go. I forget the name of it, but you witness UFOs. They have these, it's kind of like what Stephen Greer does, that sort of thing where people gather, and whether they summons them or they just always are there. But he and his wife saw, something that he couldn't explain. But he told me, he said, "I think they just know you're out there looking for them, so they appear for you." I'm like, don't think so, because I don't get any kind of sense of, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I'd welcome it.
Yeah.
I'd welcome it in a heartbeat.
I'd noticed that Gary Nolan, just on that point, Gary Nolan had mentioned in a recent interview that he thought that they appeared to have a sense of humor on some occasions. I found that interesting.
That is interesting. What do you remember? Did he give an example?
No, very
on your
vague.
Instagram?
Yeah, it's within the last few days. It's a short clip with him and I think Ross Coulthart discussing what he thought. What he thought was it human? And he's absolutely. I think his verbatim is, "Oh, absolutely not," or something down those lines. Absolutely not human. And in some cases, tend to have a sense of humor, or appear to have a sense of humor.
I think that that's probably very true, and I also am of the belief that everybody knows about the grays, right? The little guys with the big eyes and the big heads and spindly arms and so forth. But I personally do believe that there are in fact I can't remember exactly who said it. Might have been Doty, Michael. What's his name? Doty.
Yes, Rick Doty.
Yeah, it may have been him or someone else, because I do love the website Gaia, and I subscribe to it and listen to a lot of those things. That the human form, this form, even though the organs may be a little different or what, is quite common in the universe. Now there are others, but so like Pleiadians, for example, that are these beautiful people. I saw a woman, I tell people this, I know they think I'm crazy, but I don't care. I saw a woman, I was with my daughter, who at the time was probably 12, 10, 11, 12, at the promenade here in Santa Monica. And we were waiting to cross the street. The light was red, and she was walking down the sidewalk. And I looked at this woman, and I've never seen a more striking human being in my life. She was stunning. She had auburn hair, thick auburn hair, and her countenance was perfect. And she was just looking straight ahead, but her eyes were amber. They were the color of her hair. And I was just like, I was holding my daughter's hand, and just as she got just before me, she was looking ahead, and she just looked at me like that. And then I just got chills, because it sent chills down my spine. My point is that I'd never seen a human being quite like that woman. Maybe she was just a blessed, beautiful child of God. But my point is that I do believe that there are possible that they could be walking among us like this. In fact, many people who are in the know say this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you make of the stuff coming out of Congress, David Grush, the US Congress?
Man, I mean, why would someone do that and bring that upon themselves? For what purpose would you do that if it's not true? And I believe everything he says is possible, and I believe it's been going on. So I have no reason not to believe him. My only concern would be what I said earlier, is that, all this congressional stuff that's going on now, it's the 70-year-old lie is suddenly being investigated. We're being told it's true and everything like that. So why now? Is it because they can't deny it because we have one of these, all of us, or what? So as long as they say, hey, we want to find out what this is, and then if it's not of this world, we want to reach out and make peace with them. I don't really see that happening. We don't want to make peace with anyone. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that concerns me. So what I make of it, I'm not sure what to make of it yet.
Early days, I think. Early days. Yeah.
Early days, yeah.
Okay, Lewis. What are you able to talk about? What you're working on at the moment? You got any projects on the go?
Well, we're on strike.
Yeah,
we're still on strike. The writer strike appears to be ending. We're next at the table. So the project that I've been on hold for 2 years is The Peripheral.
Yeah.
And, we're not supposed to talk about projects we're on and promote them, but I don't have to worry about that because they canceled the show. We got picked up for season 2, and unfortunately when was it? I guess, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, they canceled the show. So I've been holding position for that. And now it's gone. So now I'm just waiting for the strike to be over. But so just, waiting for the strike to be over and then get back to work.
Yeah. I was, when I was talking to my partner and mentioned that I was going to be talking to you, I was playing some clips. I think it was Westworld with you and Anthony Hopkins. Because Lewis's naked rear behind.
Yeah, I got a lot of, I told him, I said, look, at the time my daughter was 12. I said, I got a 12-year-old daughter. We're not doing frontal nudity. I mean, bad enough that, she's going to be, having her friends say, I saw your daddy naked. But
intense scene though, very intense.
Very intense. One of the highlights of my career working with Tony, as he likes to be called. He makes sure everyone calls him Tony. He's very down to earth. I could speak for hours about that man. He's incredible. Just a sweetheart and down to earth. Would sit down with the crew and have lunch with us, with not just the actors, but the crew. I mean, he's a wonderful guy. It was that whole experience on Westworld was terrific. And The Peripheral was the same producers, Jonah Nolan, Lisa Joy. So it's a great experience.
Yeah, well, you were fantastic in it, and absolutely fantastic. And just researching before, incredibly talented. So I really appreciate you giving me some of your time. I'm gonna let you go now and get back to your day and get back to your family and stuff. And thanks so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, buddy. I appreciate you reaching out. I love talking about such things.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully we can.
I'm really enjoying your Instagram page too.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Well, hopefully we can perhaps talk again in the future. That'd be great.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime.
Awesome. Nice one. Thanks very much. Take care.